All right, what's going on, YouTube? Here we are again with another video. Remember one of my previous videos about wedge anchors or redheads? Remember what I was explaining you on how they work? So if you don't, go ahead and check out one of my other videos. It's in my video description, how to remove a worn out wedge anchor, more commonly known as a redhead. But this is what I was talking about the how they work, and this is they go from least quality to better quality to best quality. But basically they're all the same. These are all wedge anchors, more commonly known in the construction field as redheads. A lot of people call them redheads, just concrete anchors. They're for tightening down or installing stuff on concrete, on this stuff right here, and this is what you typically use. And the short name, or the most commonly known name for these, is a redhead. But remember, that redhead is just a brand for the most commonly used wedge anchors or concrete anchors. So anyways, these here are your cheapest one. And remember, it said it had a little cage on it like this with a little flare tip on it. You see that? So what happens is when you put it in, you drill a hole the same size as this. This is a 3/8 one. You drill a hole and you shove it in there, and it goes in, but it won't come out, because as it comes out, you see that little fluted tip right there. It'll come into the cage there. It'll expand the cage, and it'll lock itself in. It'll bind itself in the concrete, preventing it from coming out, from pulling out of the hole, and thus you are able to crank down on it with your screw, and it clamps the piece down into the concrete. That's how they work. So they create pressure. This little flute, the little flute area right there, binds up inside the little cage, and it clamps down as you tighten the nut, and it clamps everything down into whatever you want to fix, whatever material you want to fix down into the concrete. In this case, I'm gonna clamp down a track for the gate for this aluminum here. So that's what I'm doing right there, and I'm gonna be using these. But anyways, I want to talk about quality for home projects. A lot of stuff that you really are not gonna be inspected. You want to go ahead and use these. These are a little cheesy, cheap, little Chinese, Korean, Taiwanese, whatever, little concrete anchors. And then you move down the line to some better ones. This one here, it's probably, I don't know, it's a little higher quality. It might be made in the US, I don't know, but as you can see right there, it's built, its construction, it's a lot better. It's got a much better system here. The material is also a lot better. Sorry, it might withstand some rust and corrosion a little better, and it's a little harder right here. Sometimes you'll be able to identify the type of wedge anchor by the tip here. As if we move along over here, you come to this one here. This one here is top of the line. How do you know that? Well, you come here, see that name right there? Hilti. Hilti makes some of the best concrete wedge anchors, and they also identifiable by the stamp that's on the tip right here. So if you have work that's going to be inspected, an inspector is going to be involved in here, and somebody's checking your work, this is usually a high-end project. Okay, that's how. If you think you're gonna fool the inspector by dropping in one of these guys in here and passing it off, as a Hilti or as a high end, because the reason they require it is because it's some kind of safety issue is involved. So there's usually going to be a print, and there's going to be a call out on the print that calls out for this specific type of wedge anchor, not this one. And if you want to be slick and you want to drop this 15-cent anchor instead of this $3 anchor, the inspector's going to come right here. You think this is going to be buried underground, he's never going to see that. Think again. He's going to check that number out right there. If he sees that number, that is all that's going to tell him the identifiable properties for this wedge anchor here. He doesn't even have to see it. All he's got to do is go here, and he can find out what the length and the diameter of this is, because Hilti has a standardized identification system for this type of wedge anchor. If you think you're slick, you want to go ahead and put this stuff right here, he's gonna run you down the road. So there it is right there. These is cheap 15 cents. This is a little better right here, but it's still not top of the line, okay? Because you tell right there, you want to go top of the line, you want to go Hilti right there. Those are this is the best system around out there. It's one of the best. It might be even better. I know Hilti's coming out with KBTCs, KBs, KBZs, and all that good stuff. They have different materials. They have stainless steel. They have high strength bolts. It's top of the line stuff right here. When you're inspecting and when you have architects involved and all that stuff. But for home use, yeah, go ahead and drop in one of those right there. There's not a lot of weight. There's no really any big danger of anybody getting hurt if they fail. All you got to do is just pull it out, drop in another one if it goes bad. But yeah, guys, so that's my take right there on concrete wedge anchors, more commonly known as redheads. Thank you. Go check out my other video explaining how to remove a bad one. All right, bye.